Can you get excited to be an Airbnb host in 2025? I mean, with everything that's been going on, I could imagine you're a little bit overwhelmed by the idea. And if you're an Airbnb host, gosh, you've probably had it up to here, but I've cracked it. I really think I have cracked it. I was at a property in Italy that should not have made money. It just didn't make any sense. But while I was there, it was making money, of course, because I paid for the place. So I stalked the place for about another month. And I can tell you with confidence that there are ways to make money on Airbnb that people just aren't considering. So this video is what it's going to take to make money as an Airbnb host in 2025. And what's surprisingly fun about this is to be successful, all you have to be doing is paying attention. And don't worry, I'm paying attention enough for the both of us. I'm going to report to you how to get this done. Watch until the end because I buttoned this up nicely. The video is a bit on a tangent as you see me pull these different ideas from different parts of the industry and have that eureka moment by the end. And I promise you it's going to be valuable. So thank you so much for watching this video and let me know down in the comments what you think. Am I onto something or am I way off? I'll see you in there. Here's what it's going to take to be successful on Airbnb in 2024 and 2025. Hello from the island of Capri in Italy. I'm standing in the yard of an Airbnb right now. And what's interesting about this place is it's breaking some of the primary rules of Airbnb according to what I think to know to work. And maybe because it's the island of Capri, certain rules have to be broken. We're going to cover that in this video because your situation may require you to break some rules to make some money on Airbnb. And don't even get me started on the wine here in Italy. Jesus. So my friends, the rule that they are breaking. This house has 4 bedrooms. And we all know in the United States that sleeping 8, 10, 12 people makes a ton of money. And they broke this up into 4 private room listings. Yesterday, I was the only person here. Out of all 4 rooms, only one was rented out at, of course, $250 per night. Good money, but a listing that can rent out 4 rooms should make much more money than that. They had another group check-in, cute couple. They just left to go up there to the center for dinner most likely. And so now they're making money on 2 of their 4 rooms. That's still only half the utilization. I think there's some dialing in that they need to do here, but I realized something. In order for me to get to Capri, I had to take a ferry. I had to take a boat from Positano, you could take it from Naples as well. And that may change the nature of people coming to Capri. In Positano, I saw groups of 5 or 6. In Rome, I saw 6 to 10 people in groups, entire groups of tourists from the same country. But here in Capri, I haven't seen any more than a family of 4 or 5 maximum. I'd have to look for a family of 5. It's a lot of couples. So this host may know something we don't, which is to have a 4-bedroom house and list it as an entire space as your main plan to make money is probably a fool's errand. I'm going to have to search for it, but I bet this listing probably exists as a whole home, and when it gets booked far future, and then for the rest of the dates, they open it up by the room. If they do this, this is called a split strategy. It is something that I teach in the United States. And in summary, the reason why it's effective is because per person, if this place sleeps 8 people, and there's not a lot of places that can, they might be able to collect $200 per night per person for a place like this. But places that only sleep 4 people maximum may only be able to collect $125 per person. And this is because supply and demand. There's just a whole ton more listings in hotel rooms that can sleep 4 people. And there's not a lot that can sleep 8. So, in my experience throughout the entire United States, the best thing to do is to swing the bat for the big groups first. Try to get that high margin group to stay with you. Then on the dates that don't book like weekdays, it might be easier to do private rooms where you get an individual traveler or 2. That whole 4-bedroom house might have to come down to $125 a night last minute to get booked, and that would be a waste. Where all 4 private rooms could get $60 or $70 each, you could make over $200 again on the 4 rooms instead of $125 for the whole place. This kind of split strategy works when you don't have big groups for every single day. But this is me making an assumption about this place. They may not have a listing for the whole place. They just might find that it doesn't serve them at all because there's no groups of 8 or 10 that come to stay. And when I was in Puglia before I visited Matera, I got a chance to see a wedding venue. Someone refashioned this old colonial looking church into a villa that they lived in. And then after they sold it, this group turned it into a wedding venue with maybe 14 rooms. So this massive villa has a pool and a place to do the wedding reception and a bar by the pool and 14 rooms. They can charge 800 euros per room per night when they have weddings. This place would be impossible to fill if you just put it on Airbnb. There's no way that that part of Puglia has the draw to get that many people. And in a regular circumstance, when looking at hotels and other regular Airbnbs, there's no way that you could get 800 euros per night for a tiny room with one queen-size bed. But because of the way that you are selling it and the value you bring to the bride and the groom, they'll pay a king's ransom to have everybody stay where the wedding, reception, and everything is happening. They found a way to create the multiple. So what I'm seeing all over Italy, including the cave that I stayed in that cost over 1,000 euros a night, is a bunch of special circumstances, aligning with the specialized local need or the assets of the area to maximize your income. I'm working on a bus. It's taking me way too long to get it done, but I'm taking it to Burning Man and then hopefully putting it on Airbnb so you guys can see how that goes. But putting that bus somewhere with this beautiful exterior wrap in an environment where it makes sense, someone might spend up to $400 or $500 a night for that bus, even though it's barely 200 square feet on the inside, and the bed is a Murphy bed. Still has a fridge and all the goodies, but the fact that it's unusual, this eclectic bus with this graphic wrap on the outside, parked conveniently somewhere where someone would value that experience, its placement and that context is what's going to make it all of its money. Airbnb is pushing experience right now. You're going to hear me talk about it in a lot of videos. Brian Chesky did an update in their summer release and gave nothing to hosts. And the fact that he did that says everything. As you learn Airbnb, you're going to learn the history of Airbnb. And Airbnb used to fight against VRBO, Booking.com, and hotels at the same time. And they followed standard best practices. When you build a technology, if you create sticky softwares that keep people addicted to your software, you won't go to VRBO. They did this by creating a multi-calendar and adding rule sets and all these cool Pro Tools features that made you value doing business on Airbnb over VRBO or anywhere else. But the fact that they're not adding new innovations to stay ahead of VRBO or Booking.com says that they've realized something. There's no way that they can keep you or I from being on VRBO or Booking.com also, because we know that if we're multi-channel, we will make more money. Being on 3 or 4 channels is the most optimal distribution that you can get for return on investment, and this was mentioned at an IMN conference that I was speaking at. When you're on more than 4 channels, there's more management involved and maybe not a lot of extra revenue. But if you have less than 3, you're missing out on traffic. And as this becomes common knowledge, Airbnb can't convince you not to go to VRBO. So instead of creating features to keep you away from VRBO, they're trying to create features that keep guests on Airbnb, because at the end of the day, where we get our guests is where we're going to put our inventory. Isn't that correct? So they created a group wishlist feature, which also says a lot about what's going to be successful on Airbnb for the next couple of years to come. A group wishlist feature means that somebody creates a wish list of all their favorite places. Like, for example, I could make a Capri wish list with this house, with this beautiful yard, that one up on the cliff there, one that's next to the bell tower, and people could go through and upvote or downvote. Now, this is only important if we all plan on staying there at the same time, correct? You're not going to share a wish list with somebody for everybody to vote on one place to stay unless multiple groups have to come together and have this like democratic vote on where they want to stay. That feature only applies to larger listings, doesn't it? But sidestep for a tangent, as much as the wishlist feature is built for guest experience, we as hosts can use that feature to do market research and to manage our prices. I teach how to use this feature a ton in Cracking Superhost, where you can build up a data list of all these different properties, and then you can manipulate those wish lists to get a ton of information out of them. I don't teach that for free, but if you can read between the lines, give it a shot. And that is to say that everything that Airbnb builds for guests, hosts should be paying attention, because there might be some secret sauce for us in there. So with that said, one of the biggest cats that Airbnb let out of the bag is that big listings that do not compete with hotels is what Airbnb plans to make all of its money on. Airbnb also launched Icons, which is an in-house version of their own experiences. It's meant to draw attention to Airbnb outside of just accommodations, but it's meant to draw this relationship between Airbnb's brand and doing unique and fun stuff. So that way, when you're trying to find a unique and fun place to stay, or you're trying to find a way to have fun on vacation or make memories, you think Airbnb, meaning you come and find a property like this to stay in. If Airbnb can use icons to make you think that Airbnb is where you go to make killer memories, you'll use it when you book an accommodation. So Airbnb is going to be pushing listings that push that narrative. So if you set up an Airbnb, the one thing you have to be is not regular. And this may make a lot of people sad. I don't necessarily like it myself, because I love to build at scale. I would love to have 40 or 50 average apartments in a regular building, manage them like a hotel, and just be able to print easy money. But Airbnb is seeing that that trench war against hotels is not going their way. And even though we can profit on low-cost apartments with low cost of internal operations, very much a boring business, Even though that's profitable, the fact that Airbnb is pushing their brand in another direction, we have to pay attention. So what I'm doing now is I'm picking up big listings. I'm picking up ones with high ceilings, good bones, exposed brick, exposed wood, stuff with character, stuff with architecture. I'm throwing geodes and grand pianos and all sorts of crazy stuff in these homes to make these homes look like something no one else would ever stay at anywhere else. There are ways to do this for cheap. You don't have to spend $10,000 on a piano or $100,000 on cathedral geodes. I'm teaching my students how to do this with fake wood, wallpaper, fake plants, all sorts of regular stuff that you can just buy nearby, and you can create the illusion of exotic. If you ever go somewhere like Tulum, or even your favorite local restaurant, you may see how they build something called a facade. It's a fake wall. It's something a little bit more interior that blocks something boring. They may use wicker or vine or thatch or fake brick or wallpaper or texture just to make the restaurant stand out. And in Tulum, they do this in spades. But if you look at these properties for what they were before they built the magic, it is probably the most plain and cheap construction you've ever seen before an interior designer went in and made it nuts. And that's what you can do even with small listings. We will do this with tiny apartments. We'll paint an interesting color and we'll use interesting textures and we'll use interesting layouts, and we'll actually invest in a real couch that has some personality, because there is a rule in interior design that the couch makes the space. So with a little creativity, you can take 450 to 600 square feet and make it seem like a magical recluse, just as much as a 4-bedroom house with a really cool yard in Capri. What's going to make money on Airbnb for the next couple of years to come are properties that people go, wow, I haven't seen something like that before. Because Airbnb's narrative, their marketing dollars, is pushing that. And whenever you rely on a company for your market share, like Airbnb, Turo, PureSpace, Amazon, you better be listening to how they are trying to communicate with the customers that buy your inventory. I don't want to fight Airbnb. When Airbnb says we do experience, I'll say, yeah, we do experience. If Airbnb says we are the affordable place, I'll go, yes, we are the affordable place. Because wherever Airbnb spends millions of dollars to spread a message, they will have guests or customers coming looking for someone like me to make that message come true. Airbnb is serving up customers with their message. We just have to meet them where they are, or where they will be. And in 2025, unique and experiential listings is where I think it's going to be at. But if you disagree, let me know in the comments. If you're still winning with regular properties and you think that's the future, tell me I'm wrong. I'd love to hear it, and I'll do more research. I'm not here to always be right, guys. And if you want a video to prime you on the amenities that you can put in an Airbnb listing that make it pop and make it look expensive, watch this video next. Thank you so much for watching this one. As always, you're my favorite people, and I'll see you on the other side.